Hey everybody, this is Jake and welcome to another video in the technical analysis video series. In this video, we will be going over different pattern setups such as the triangle. So in this case, the first example we have is the symmetrical triangle here. The symmetrical triangle is more of a neutral setup, meaning, it's not necessarily bullish or bearish. It's generally dependent on whatever direction the trend is going. So for example here, notice we've already had a big move to the upside, and then you've got this symmetrical triangle forming, and then you've got a continuation to the upside. Now, let's say that this was opposite, where this was actually a downtrend, and we've got this symmetrical triangle forming. Generally, you may see a continuation down because you've kind of got this area where shorts are covering, you've kind of got some demand, and then you've got your continuation down. So this particular candle is going to be more of a neutral setup. Now let's go to the daily here, where we've got an ascending triangle setup, which is when you've got, instead of kind of this angled resistance, you've got flat resistance, and then you've got angled support, which is ascending up towards the flat resistance. Notice that you've got this kind of coiling effect where you get really tight within this pattern. You get to the apex of this setup, you've got your breakout, and then you've got your retest of resistance, which now acts as support, and then you've got your continuation up. Now, if you compare that to the opposite of this, which is the descending triangle, notice you've got kind of more of a bearish setup here. So what you've got here is pretty much the opposite, where on this breakdown, you've got this descending resistance, you've got this flat support, and then you finally have this breakdown. And almost exactly the same as the ascending triangle, you can see that the breakdown occurs. You've got a bounce here to retest this area of support, which is now acting as resistance, and then you've got to pull down to the new lows here. Now, what's interesting is, notice when we do catch a bid here, this area of previous support acts as resistance once again here, false breakout, and then you've got your continuation lower. And what's really cool to see here is you've got kind of a switch. You've got your descending triangle, and then you've got your ascending triangle actually forming for the breakout to create a new trend higher. So in this case, we've got this previous area of support acting as resistance here, kind of acting as resistance. You've got a few days of just kind of going right through it. You've got a little bit of a breakthrough, you've got a pullback, and then you kind of pretty much go straight up from there. So this is, these are patterns that form pretty often, and it really just depends on what type of, stock you're looking at. Each stock has its own personality. One stock may be forming, symmetrical triangles more than another, just like it may be responding to the MACD more than another stock. So each stock is going to respond differently to these, but these are some universal patterns to definitely know and look out for when you are trading. One thing I did want to mention, let's say that we go to the 4-hour chart, the daily chart, and we go to USO, which is a chart that I don't have any lines on yet or anything. What you can see here is, let's go to the weekly, sorry. What you can see here is, I've got this symmetrical triangle that automatically is here. Now, this isn't necessarily because, the system just found this perfect area. I have already found this discretionarily, but the reason I found it is because I turned on the trend line here, and you'll see all of these different trends pull up. So when I turn on trends, that's just essentially turn on the automated trend function, and you can see as I go to the preferences, there's different types of ways I can have the system look at the trend lines for me and produce them differently. So if I want the system to look instead at body to body, I can choose that here. If I want the system to respect gaps in price, that's also going to change how the lines are drawn. But in this particular case, let's just stick with what we have. All I did here was simply double click this, double click that, turn off the trends, and now I'm ready to move on to the next part of my analysis. So this is something that really helps with people who are looking for patterns. We're not necessarily, being able to pick up the actual pattern, but the system is spitting out a bunch of different options for you, and some of these options will generally be descending, ascending wedges or descending wedges or symmetrical triangles. So one thing that we will be doing on the next video is going over the falling wedges, the descending wedges, also known as, and then the ascending or the rising wedges. So this will be talked about on the next video, and these different trend settings will be talked about even more. So if you do want to check that out, make sure to check out the next video in the series. If you have any questions on this particular video, please feel free to comment in the comment sections below, and we will see you in the next video. Please feel free to reach out as well on hello@trendspider.com, or you can reach us at TrendSpider on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. Have a good day.